This podcast has been recorded over a week ago, like previous Saturday, so everything might be a little bit outdated.
I got too much Monta.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to episode 2 of the Too Much Monte podcast, featuring Max, Levy, and me. Today, we're mostly going to talk about the Kristaps Porzingis trade, how that impacts the Mavs and the Knicks, and what we think about the players. So, Max, what do you think about Kristaps?
Well, I'm thinking that if those reports are true and he's going to be back on the next home game, February the 6th against the Hornets, that would be amazing. But, as a player, it's so obvious how this is going to work when he actually gets on the court. Like, I know it's kind of a tired comparison to compare Kristaps to Dirk, and they are technically different players. But with that being said, you're talking about a 7-footer who can get off a three with a really quick trigger. Is not only a 7-footer, he's 7'3". He's capable of posting up and shooting over defenders even through a little bit of contact. He can get his way to the basket and finish at the rim, even though he's not extremely athletic, solely because he's just a little bit fluid and very tall. Like even though he's not as athletic as DeAndre Jordan, you can still make a lot of those pick and rolls, lobs still work just because of his size.
For sure, yeah, I agree with that. I think also DeAndre Jordan wasn't really trying that hard with rolls. It seemed like he wasn't jumping that high. Maybe something was bothering him this year because it really felt like he wasn't as athletic as before. So
he's over the hill now, so he's like 30.
That's true. Yeah.
And when you're talking about a supremely athletic center that has a bounce and is, declining after the loss of Chris Paul and might not be particularly motivated anymore, it's not too surprising. I was just wishing for better at the start of the season. I was thinking he would rebound, and instead he just kind of got like maybe 1%, 2% better in like a couple areas that really mattered, and then 10% better in a whole lot of things that nobody really needed.
For sure, yeah, it's kind of weird. But Kristaps, I think at his age, if he heals decently, he's kind of like compared to like a 30-year-old DeAndre Jordan, he's basically just as athletic. So yeah, it works in my opinion.
I'd argue more because he's not gonna have to like limit his amount of times he's going up because of how old he is. Like his knees can take it a little bit more. The only problem with his knees is that in exchange for being able to jump more, they can also get more hurt because he's still kind of skinny. Yeah, it should be the top priority of the Mavericks to thicken out those knees.
Honestly, when I heard the news, it was so weird how the rumor started and the Mavs weren't in the conversation at all. And I was kind of speculating by myself, just like what could the Mavs offer? And I was like, there's no way. And then all of a sudden, it just happened. Like the Mavs traded for Kristaps Porzingis. It was so weird. I never expected it, and I was really excited about it. And then they just threw in like Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Trey Burke. Of course, because we gave them picks and salary dumps, but that's insane. It's just an improvement in every way.
Imagine using Kristaps Porzingis as a sweetener to get off $30 million in cap space. Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, another thing is, you saw all those other teams were offering. It's like, there's no way the Mavs had the best offer of this group. So something was going on in the Knicks organization that made them anxious.
I guess a lot of teams just were really cautious because of his injury. And I think Kristaps saying that he wants to be gone, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the organization,
Yeah, I think I saw on Zach Lowe's rumors too, something about how either the Pelicans or the Knicks were offering Porzingis in a deal to get Anthony Davis. Like they were talking about it between each other, and I could have sworn they said the Knicks turned it down, but I'll check it.
That will be just crazy. Wow, that just makes too much sense. Straight up Porzingis for Anthony Davis.
No, it was like involving Porzingis and other assets, but yeah.
For salary, yeah. But how is that a bad deal for the Knicks. Like,
Well, I mean, like actual assets, not just salary, like picks and whatever. Because it's
yeah,
Anthony Davis, but
yeah. This is a weird situation because my second favorite team are the New York Knicks, and though I've barely watched games from the Knicks because they suck that much this year. And it's not like with the Mavs because I literally watch every Mavs game there is. But still, the Knicks are my second favorite team. I like them a lot, even though the franchise is kind of they're like struggling to find out what they really are, what their identity is. I think right now just Kristaps wasn't really working, I guess, because like at first I was kind of mad from the Knicks perspective. I was like, of course, happy because I'm a Mavs fan. I was really happy and only thinking about that. But then I started thinking about it from the Knicks perspective, and I was really just like upset about it. And I was like, what are they doing? But then I started thinking, and they just really want to like build from the future, like tank and stuff, and just building around Porzingis with like no talent. That's just not a smart idea, I guess. So they just really want to get like Zion or something else big in this draft. And then surrounding that, they really want more picks, of course, which they got, and they want to sign some stuff in free agency. And so I guess it's like something they had to do. It's just like, couldn't they gotten more for Porzingis? That's the thing mostly. But I think they will be fine. And I was kind of considering like just being mad about the Knicks and just like giving up. But I think they're doing something they had to do, basically.
I think they didn't do their diligence. And also another note, they were declined by the Pelicans, so the Pelicans turned down the offer. But regardless, you go from going for AD with Porzingis to trading him for Dennis Smith, cap space, and 2 first-rounders. Like, there has to be a middle ground there.
But you said the Pelicans declined the offer, right? You said.
Yes, the Pelicans did decline the offer because apparently Boston is in their ear telling them we'll give you a whole bunch of stuff in the summer.
I mean, yeah, I guess then that kind of makes sense. I mean, of course they wanted Anthony Davis, but if the Pelicans declined, then there's nothing you can do.
Well, yeah, but you'd think it almost seemed like they were so shook by it that they went out and gave up KP for like what you could call quote unquote like not a bag of chips, maybe a bag of like luxury tortilla chips and quality salsa and guacamole and queso.
You could put it like that, yeah.
Like, and you could probably get that at the store for like $12 to $13, $15.
Yeah.
So
I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny how Knicks fans they just don't know anything about Dennis Smith Jr. and right now they're kind of salty about it. But I think Dennis Smith Jr. is pretty much going to shine for the Knicks, and I think they'll be happy with him within like a couple of days when he's playing. Honestly,
I think they have nothing to lose in having him, and I think he's gonna love New York. As to whether or not he'll play good, that really has nothing to do with anything that you can predict right now because it all depends on how he's going to be used in that offense. And honestly, the intentions of the coach at this point, because you're seeing the fact that they're going to keep Wes Matthews and DeAndre Jordan, which is kind of puzzling considering their situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird and frustrating because Fizdale is basically like trying to win with like a really bad team. So like Frank Ntilikina barely gets minutes. Kanter just doesn't play, all because he feels like he wants to win, but they're still like 10 and 40. So what's the logic behind that? So like just most logically you would just start DSJ next to like Ntilikina, just both as guards. But he's not going to do that because he wants to play Wes Matthews and DeAndre Jordan, I think.
Yeah, Fizdale in New York was always going to be a curious fit to me because I don't know how much Fizdale's a fan of having the lights on him. He's a very like kind of like wants to be a little behind the scenes with how he does things. Like he's kind of I need a little bit of control, and whenever you want a little bit of control in New York, you're going to get hounded. Another thing is that he was saying that he wanted to play Wes and DeAndre so he could teach the team defensive principles.
Yeah.
That's just hilarious.
Yeah, that's the most ironic thing ever. I mean, it's really funny because I've also heard like a bunch of Knicks fans talk about how how DeAndre Jordan is at least an upgrade over Cantor and stuff, and it's like really ironic to hear that. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
theoretically he is just because he's sort of athletic, but like
yeah,
other than that, it's pretty much the same thing, honestly. And Cantor, you could argue, has the post ups. I mean, do you want a guy that can post up, or do you want a guy that can sort of run to the rim like 3 or 4 times, but otherwise he's gonna get tired because he's old and he has bad knees or whatever, because he's
yeah,
like lost weight and stuff just to be able to keep jumping.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I think right now I'd probably take Cantor over DeAndre Jordan. Yeah,
And that's the sad part is Cantor is marooned there. He
yeah,
like honestly, I would be curious to see him in like a Greg Monroe sort of role on a contending team. It's like 15 minutes a game, scores a couple post ups, gets some rebounds, and just bees like a old style big man whenever the rest of the offense for whatever reason is just broken.
yeah. Honestly, when he has the chance, he probably just signs with OKC again. That's basically the only team that ever like cared about him and stuff, I think.
I would be interested to see him on the Bucks and put him in a backup big man role where like literally the Greg Monroe like whenever he was off the Bucks because he was starting on the Bucks, but like when you can have a kind of big man to come off your bench, give you some buckets whenever you can just relieve a little bit of that load off of guys like Giannis, even though I'm sure he can handle it, but like Giannis, Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, it gives you another tool to attack with in your offense that can only help you. And I mean, you're already the best defense in the league, so you don't have a whole lot to lose.
Yeah, for sure. That would be a great fit, actually. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah, like or at least I think they're the top defense in the league. I remember saying they were at least top defensive rating, but that was a little while ago. All right, I guess it would be time to move on to another piece in the Knicks deal.
Yeah, sure. Well, you really wanted to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr., right?
I think we
Because
both do.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I because I'm sort of like a Knicks fan, I've seen like a bunch of games from him, but like for every reason he's like a totally different player because he like the situation is different. One time he's like the leading scorer, then he's a role player. It's really I don't really know what he is basically. But that said, I think I got a different picture from what he is than you have because you actually started to talk about how he's very similar to one of my favorite players, Monta Ellis. And at first I was kind of confused when you said that, but then you started comparing the two, and it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a guard that's athletic, has a little bit of shake to him, has kind of had a reputation of being a chucker the past couple of years, which Monte wasn't a three-point chucker, but he was a mid-range chucker. So
Yeah,
you can swap out. It's just a matter of era and the way they grew up when it comes to that. Um, but unfortunately, unlike Monte, Tim Hardaway has the three pointers. Tim Hardaway Jr. has the three pointers. So you're going to be fortunate enough to still be able to space the floor, even though he's had a couple down years. But I think you can attribute a lot of that to him shooting literally 7 threes a game. Like he is not Wayne Ellington.
yeah, for sure he shoots way too much threes, and I think actually he'd probably be pretty good at like pull up shots, jumpers, and driving a lot, and maybe like pick and roll stuff, which he isn't really doing that much in New York.
Yeah, he's in the pick and roll possessions he's played. He's actually been used pretty well, which is an
Right.
interesting situation because I'd love to see some secondary pick and roll action where, Luca can set up a mismatch for Tim Hardaway Jr. against this big man, then Tim Hardaway can take him to town and, just collapse the defense. And if he has the vision that can be reported by some of his pick and roll numbers at all, it'd be interesting to see how well he can connect with guys like Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber for dump offs and lobs.
Yeah, for sure. I think right now his assist average is like 2.5 a game. I think it's definitely gonna be up by maybe double, like or at least four or something. Like in the Mavs offense and system.
It really depends because he has the capability of doing it, I think, but it just kind of just depends on how heavily involved he's going to be with the ball, or if he's going to turn into something like what he was in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, he was more like a catch and shoot, like 3-and-D type guy, which is weird because his defense has been really bad.
I mean, whenever you're on a team like Atlanta, defense just kind of comes throughout the team, unless you're like Dennis Schroeder.
But like he mostly just shooting and not as much handling the ball, right? In Atlanta.
Oh yeah. But he had a couple really nice dunks and stuff, so that's cool. I mean, let's just take a look. We're gonna talk about these numbers. So, Tim Hardaway Jr. 2017-2018, the last year where the Knicks were all right until KP went down, versus Monta Ellis 2013-2014. Tim Hardaway Jr. 57 games played. Monta 82 points, 19 a game in 37 minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr. 17 and a half in 33 minutes. Monta on an effective field goal percentage of 48%. Tim Hardaway Jr. on an effective field goal percentage of 50%. Tim Hardaway Jr. shooting 7 threes a game, whereas Monta shooting 13 two-pointers a game. And Monta averaging 5 assists to 3.2 turnovers, which was 5.7, so like 5.7 to 3.2, so a little less like than a 1 to 2 assist turnover. Whereas you could say about the same thing for Tim Hardaway with a 2.7 to 1.6 assist to turnover ratio. So I think it's possible, but it's going to be a major question of whether or not he can expand his playmaking to the sort of volume Monta Ellis had, with like a similar level of efficiency to provide some extra avenues in the offense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it all depends, I guess, from what Rick wants from him. At least he's like versatile enough to do like anything Rick wants, basically. Because like you said, in Atlanta he was used completely different from New York. So at least that tells me that he's very versatile and pretty much open to anything that Rick wants from him.
Yeah, and the story of Tim Hardaway is a little weird too. Like you're talking about, gets drafted by New York, then goes to Atlanta, then gets back to New York, and now he's involved in a trade with Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Yeah.
It's like that entire situation is just kind of puzzling.
I mean, I did see a lot of interviews from when he signed with the Knicks, and he constantly like talked about how Budenholzer like taught him a lot of defense and didn't play him if he didn't play defense and stuff, and that really changed him like as a player.
Yeah, I think he has a little bit of defense in him, but when you're on a team like the New York Knicks, who are 10-40, like at a certain point, it just kind of gets depressing.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have to do so much on the offensive scoring load, you're gonna be tired, and you don't really have a lot of energy left for defense.
I mean, but like being honest with ourselves, he's really like he's not a 20-point scorer in any natural offense. Like
No.
at best, he's literally what the Mavs had with Monta, which 19 was still probably a bit much for Monta, but we needed him to do it because we had no other choice. But
I mean,
now we have options now. Like we have more than like a 36-year-old Dirk and Jameer Nelson or whatever.
the thing that made Monta Ellis like the Monta Ellis we knew in Dallas was basically because he was like forced to be the leading scorer, basically. And also because we basically had no point guard. So he had to be like the scoring leader and basically the assist leader.
Yeah,
And
I forgot who the point guard even was. I was like, I don't even think it was Jameer Nelson. Like, I think that was the year after. I'm just trying to figure out who it was.
the first year when we had Sam Dalembert, it was Jose Calderon.
Oh yeah, that's basically an off guard. That's short.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then the second year we had Jameer Nelson with a rotation of Raymond Felton and Devin Harris.
The trade that never needed to happen. Jameer Nelson out.
Yeah.
For Rajon Rondo. Never even needed to happen.
For sure. I mean, so many people are here talking about how the Mavs haven't been good since 2011, or how this season is the best they've had since then. And it's like, did you forget like how good the Mavs were in 2013-14? I think, or 14.
Took the champion Spurs to 7.
Oh, that too. Yeah. I mean, that year was pretty good. But then the year after that, they had like the second seed right until they traded for Rondo.
And then like, everything fell apart.
it went really well. They could have been going to like the conference finals or something. But people like just forget that because they think we sucked all year or something. It's really weird.
I want to throw this stat at you from that year really quick. Do you want to guess what Brandon Wright's true shooting percentage was that year?
It was probably like 80%.
No, it was 80. It was 90% for a stretch though, but
Wow.
overall for the year it was 70, which is just insane.
I mean, I remember it being really high, so that's why I really said something ridiculous like 80. But
Well,
yeah,
it was for like a stretch of games, and then reasonability came into existence.
yeah. And I think he shot like a lot of mid ranges sometimes. So, like sometimes he just shot like 4 mid-range jump shots in a game, and it just ruined his percentage.
Yeah, hold on, let me check his shooting from like inside 3 feet, because I imagine it's considerably higher. Oh, wait, no, 79% from inside
Oh,
three
well,
feet.
what I said, yeah.
Interestingly, he shot 47% from floater range, which is crazy.
Yeah, he was really good at that actually. Yeah, I
Wait,
remember that.
hold on, not 47%, 50%.
Wow.
DeJuan Blair shot 47%, and he took 27% of his attempts down there too, so it's not like he didn't have a decent volume of shots.
Both of them were really good at it, and they just basically like random play for that, and it just they did it like a lot of that game. Sam Dallenberg was pretty decent at it as well.
Yeah, but
So
it's just
basically,
insane that somehow we got these big men that are supposed to just be dunking, but have like a little bit of extra touch or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Like we had like three big men rotation that all could pretty much shoot floaters, and it was really used well, and it was really fun to watch.
You know who else the Mavs had that year? There's a specific name I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, sure.
You're gonna cry with me when you realize that he's off the Mavs now. Wayne Ellington was on that
Yeah,
team.
I know. I remember that. Yeah. He was basically drafted by the Mavericks, right?
No, they signed him for like a 1 year deal.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and Rick barely played him. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he was
actually,
drafted by like the
time.
T-Wolves.
I guess
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
yeah, he was drafted by the T-Wolves.
I was actually really frustrated at the time because every time Wade Ellington came in the game, he always shot efficiently and he always did pretty well in garbage time. So I was always like, just play him, and I was always really annoyed that I think Richard Jefferson was on that team, or no, at least some veteran got time over him, and I was always really frustrated by that.
Yeah, I think RJ was the year after.
Yeah, he
But
took some minutes from Jay Crowder. That was it. Like I was really
hey,
annoyed that Jay Crowder didn't get
can you
minutes.
be mad about it when you look at how Richard Jefferson performed that season?
I mean, if you're looking at stats, I guess, but
You're looking at a guy that literally dunked on Michael Kidd Gilchrist at like 36, shot threes, and was a wing. Like, what else do you want at a certain point?
I mean, I don't expect more. I just wanted Jay Crowder to play over him. That was mostly it.
Well, I think it was a victim of the era because if this was 3 years later and it was the exact same situation, Jay Crowder would just play four.
A couple of years ago, a lot of veterans from basically any team would play more than the young guys, and it's really turned around. Like young guys are so much more important than veterans nowadays. It's really weird.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't the point. The point was that they would have played alongside each other. Richard would have played three and Jay would have played four.
Oh, that too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, Jay basically is a four now. Like you can't play him at three. He's not good enough as a shooter.
I think he actually mostly played shooting guard in Dallas. That's so surprising how that's so different.
He's listed as a small forward, so
Yeah, true. He played both a little, I think.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it's all whatever. It doesn't even really matter what the name of a position is anymore to me because it's all technicalities. But like the only like just like the quote unquote offensive role of like three versus four, he couldn't play three in this era really as an offensive player.
I meant like back then for the
Oh yeah,
Mavericks.
for sure. Yeah, I get it. I'm trying to find the position data right now. Here we go. 2013, 2014 Mavericks, 88% of his minutes at small forward.
All right.
And
Yeah.
he's played small forward the majority of the time for every single season of his career, including this year. But he's also played 35% of his minutes this year for the Jazz at power forward.
Yeah. Makes
He
sense. Yeah.
he did almost play exactly half of his minutes during the time before he got traded in 2014, 2015 as a shooting guard, but other than that, he was always like a small forward dominant.
So I just want to move on a little bit to Courtney Lee, I guess. I mean, he hasn't played all year, and he didn't really play much the year before. So from how he played with the Knicks, I don't really that much, but I think he's like a decent player. He plays defense, he shoots threes efficiently. So what do you think?
I think he's just a humble Wes Matthews, which is all right. So I'll take it. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what he's going to do, but I was just going to say, because we forgot to say it earlier, um, we were going to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. I just realized we forgot to mention the whole fish and chips thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that you bring it up. Yeah.
So he was at the London game like 2 weeks ago now, January 17th against the Wizards, and he went out to like this fish and chips restaurant with like a YouTube channel that has like a following, and just like ate some like traditional English food, including fish and chips, and was just like it was kind of cool, I guess. You got to know him a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I It was also kind of funny. It was uploaded yesterday, and it already said Dallas Mavericks guard. So that was kind of interesting. And the whole comments were about how he got traded and stuff. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah, he's like a fun person. I've seen him in interviews for the Knicks, and he's always happy, always friendly. He's a funny dude. Like he I think he probably works hard. He adapts to his role. He's a great person, I think. So I really am glad that we have him, and I really wanted him to be on the Mavs for a while, and I think he's definitely an upgrade over Wes Matthews.
Well, here's two things I want to add also. Number one, I will say I did get a text from the draft guy I work with, Block Draft Dougie, and he was warning me about Tim Hardaway Jr. a little bit, saying if you think Harrison Barnes is bad. Um, but hopefully that ends up being wrong because Rick can finally figure out how to use him properly. And second of all, are we ready for some too much Timmy?
Yeah, yeah, because of like what you said. Yeah, he's kind of similar to Monte, so we should probably start like a too much Timmy thing. Yeah.
With KP as Dirk and
Yeah.
Luca as Chandler Parsons.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that. I don't think the thing would match up like the letters, but yeah.
Wait, hold on. You got Tim, Luca, and you can do either. I would say you would do D. So Doncic, Hardaway, or Timmy, and Porzingis or Kristaps. So you could do TDP.
I guess that's too different from the regular thing. I guess like TLP, like
TLP,
Porzingis.
yo, that's got to be it too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be TLP. That's got to be it. Or like
Nice.
LPT or whatever. LTP. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we've going on too long for this. We should probably just move on. But yeah, that's pretty funny, and I think it's going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about how we should be warned about Tim Hardaway. I think from how he played with the Knicks, he has a tendency to like score, like shoot too much, like Wes a lot. Like he played a lot like Wes did for the Mavs. Like he just shoots shot after shot, and pretty much like Barnes. Yeah, he doesn't really see open shooters as well and things like that. But it's also, I guess, because he was like the leading scorer. I think he'll be fine in Dallas.
Yeah, and another thing to consider was with Wes Matthews. I think it was a lot of a case of nature versus nurture. Consider when Wes Matthews came in. You're talking about that's the year before Barnes came in, and you had Parsons. So the even though the Mavs had Parsons, you still have an offense that needs creation because you have an old Dirk, you have Chandler Parsons, and like I don't even think Monte was still around at that point. I think, or if he was, it was like the bad year?
Monta was here for 2 years, from 2013 till 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, so if it was Parsons in them 2014-15,
Yeah. I
well
think
then
so. No,
in that
wait. Was that 15, 16?
if it was, then he was gone.
Yeah.
But I'm checking right now. Yeah, that was the Jameer Nelson, and yeah, so that was the year after was Parsons. I know they had Parsons. They didn't have Wes yet. They had Wes the year after. That was the last year they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess West just had to like create a lot, and that took time to adjust, I guess. But he still did it too much, like lately. But anyway, what do you think about Trey Burke?
I think it's an interesting project to make the next JJ Barea.
Yeah,
And a worthy question is, do the Mavericks think they have their JJ and Devin of the future? Because you have the JJ in quote unquote JJ and Trey Burke, and you have the quote unquote Devin sort of guy in Jalen Brunson that's kind of multi-dimensional, can sort of be an off guard, but can play on the ball too, is very savvy and not as wild of a player. Whereas Trey Burke's gonna be a wild card every night.
yeah, for sure. I think you're pretty much spot on. Like they're pretty much dead, and it's pretty funny that like Jalen Brunson, he's like 23 and he plays like a 34-year-old Devin Harris. That's pretty funny in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the one thing he doesn't have is the cuts.
Yeah, true.
The
Yeah,
cuts is literally what if Devin Harris wasn't one of the best cutters in the league, he would not be an NBA player. He would be a coach somewhere right now.
I think so. Yeah, his cuts are pretty much what gives him an NBA job. Yeah.
And his defense, his like effort and just the way he plays on defense makes him survive more often than he should for how old and how small he is.
Yeah.
Even though he has like a decent wingspan.
Brunson has pretty good defense as well, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have the length though.
Yeah. I think it's a great comparison. Like Trey Burke is kind of small and streaky and quick, and Brunson is, like you said, like versatile and a combo guard. I
Yeah,
really think that like their backup for the off the bench for the future. Yeah.
it's worth mentioning that it'd be interesting to see what Jalen Brunson would be like because if you look at his college tape, a lot of his scoring was like posting up smaller guards, and that's not really a thing you can do as much in the NBA. So it's been interesting to see how he's been able to still craft out this role. And I'd be curious to see if he ever tries to go back to those post ups just to add something extra, but I'm just not sure how it would work in this NBA where everyone's like his size at the minimum, pretty much, except for like Langston Galloway.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's not really gonna do that at all anymore. Maybe at like 6 foot guards, but still, yeah.
I mean, most of the guys that are 6 foot, like they will just give up at that point. They'll just let you score, but there's not too many left. And on top of that, you still have guys like Yogi Ferrell, who like, if you remember, like 2 years ago now, he was like holding off Porzingis for like a possession, not because he was good at it, but just because he tried so hard that it ended up working out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Chris Paul is as well. He's like, for a 6 foot guard, he's like really, really strong, and he really tries on post defense. And I think
Yeah,
if you're 6 foot, you should really like be really strong and put a lot of effort in that. Yeah.
you either should be really strong or you should just shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, or like be like Monte Morris and just get ridiculous amounts of assists on a team that has shooters all around you.
For sure.
That works
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. That's a really weird topic to talk about. Sorry for, but like I hear so little about the Nuggets, and I watch so little Nuggets games that I really don't. I know so little about everything, and then sometimes I hear about that Monte Morris guy, but I really don't know much, and it's so weird. Like, why are the Nuggets so irrelevant to the media?
Because they're in Denver.
I guess so, yeah, but they're really good. They're really fun to watch. So why?
Because their best player is a fat European.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
And he doesn't shoot step back threes. He does post up assists. Like, you
it's
know.
true. I love that actually. Like just slow European big men. It's just fun to watch. I don't know why. It's just
Oh, it is fun to watch, but it's not like sexy for whatever reason.
no, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
It's the same
And
thing with Dirk. Dirk's enjoyable to watch, but for whatever reason, Dirk wasn't sexy. Like nobody knows why. He just wasn't to the American to anybody in the U.S., including NBA free agents.
yeah, I kind of hate that about like American media and stuff. That it's like so focused on like entertainment. Like I mean, sure, basketball is entertainment, but like just fundamentals are fun as well, and just like good basketball plays by great coaches. That's a lot of fun in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, but the NBA are not. The NBA media is not basketball purists. But I mean, I just want you to consider this. This is just crazy. An assist to turnover ratio of 3.8 to point 0.7. That's insane.
From which player are you talking about?
Monte Morris.
Oh wow, that's really good.
And he's in his second year. He didn't really even play last year. Like he played 8 minutes a game in 3 games. And now he's averaging an assist to turnover ratio comparable to Trey Jones at Duke, who is not going to be able to do that right away at the NBA. And that's just insane.
Wow, he doesn't even start, right?
No, he's the backup point guard. Like, is it crazy to say he's like definitely better than Devin Harris already? And that's insane. Because Devin was actually pretty good for them at the end of that season. And he's shooting 45% from three on 3 attempts. But I don't. He was picked like 51st. I don't think the Mavs had a pick in 2017 back then. So they could have got him if they wanted to, but it didn't seem likely when they had like Yogi and stuff. But going back to the deal and Courtney Lee, one love to Courtney Lee for being a humble Wes Matthews, and hopefully he can just get some minutes. I think he might get too many minutes because Rick might fall in love with him the way he fell in love with Wes Matthews.
I think so, yeah. But at the same time, I think Wes Matthews played a lot because the Mavs gave him so much money, and Courtney Lee got that money from New York. So it's not like an obligation for Rick to play him a lot, you know. But I think you're right, still right.
Well, I think he's gonna love with his mentality. He fall in love with his mentality because, like, you see how much he talks about Wes Matthews being a competitor and nothing else matters to him.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like Courtney Lee. But I'm okay with him playing a lot, actually. I like Courtney Lee.
No, I am, but I also want to see a little bit of too much Timmy. I also want to see, some Dorian Finney-Smith still, even though Rick loves Dorian. I want to see Maxey start at center for every single game. Like,
As long as he figures all that out, then I'm happy. And also, I think Courtney Lee fits with the bench like perfectly, honestly. So
I mean, yeah, isn't it nice to have like several wings now? Like, it feels like it hasn't been this way in so long.
Yeah, exactly. So why put them all in the starting lineup? Why play so short when you could just have some on the bench for luxury? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't start Courtney Lee. I would put in like the obvious. You got to start Luka. I think you sort of have to start Tim Hardaway Jr. even though the fit is questionable. I personally would bench Barnes because I'm thinking about trading him anyway. I just want him out.
It's not going to happen. He's probably going to start at power forward or small forward.
Well, I mean, they're looking to trade him. If you saw the Zach Lowe piece, they're looking to trade him. They're fielding offers.
Yeah, but probably because they're looking to trade him, they're not going to put him on the bench.
Oh yeah, they showcased him like nobody's business in that Detroit game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's like the only excusable reason they lost. If they didn't rely on Barnes intentionally, they could have easily won that game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And another thing, I wish Daryl Macon actually had some minutes in that game. And another thing, why the hell did they release Ray Spalding and not like JJ Barea, who is already injured and on an expiring contract? Or, why? Why did it have to be Ray Spalding, who we signed to like a 4-year deal with the first year guaranteed and the 3 next years not guaranteed, who we picked in the draft and then gave him that contract, and now you're just going to kick him out after you had that much faith and after he's been producing so much in the G League? Like, I just don't understand.
I mean, I think the plan is that the Legends just pick him up, right?
Well, yeah, but then he could be signed by any NBA team at any time.
That's true. Yeah, it's not a smart move. Yeah, and I love Salah Mejri, like I really do, but I think it would have been smarter to release him. He
I
said,
think that's safe to say, but he's also Luka's friend, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, the smartest thing was to just release JJ for the time being.
yeah, either JJ or I guess say, hey Devin, it's time for you to be a coach.
I guess so. I mean, Devin still produces, so
Yeah, he does, but I don't know. It depends on I don't know. It's just kind of what you want, whatever you want. Like I would have just done Berea, honestly, or if I was a bit more heartless, I really would have just done Sala, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think they're just also looking to the future. Like they just want to keep every player they have right now. So that means that if you release JJ, that is not smart. Like and that's why they chose Ray, I think.
So you choose the guy that's going to be potentially a key piece of your rotation in the future. You choose to release him instead of a 33, 32, 33, 34-year-old guy who just came off an Achilles tear.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Like it's not justifiable if you ask me.
no,
Like
but
even if he comes back and is still a semblance of himself, you have like what, a year, 2 years left tops of him before he's just done.
yeah,
Because like he just I don't think like he's like 5'10" and he's 34 years old. Like there's a point where you just can't take that anymore.
I don't really understand why JJ wants to come back. Like he's 34. Like he could just retire. Like
He
it's
has
not a big.
kids. He has a kid who's like 5 years old. Like
Yeah, just spend time with your kids, man.
I mean, I'm not here to criticize JJ Barea, but like
No,
what's in it for him, I guess would be the question.
yeah,
Because like
exactly.
does he think the Mavs are going to make the playoffs next year? I think that's what he's thinking.
I guess
Other
so.
than that, there's no reason. Like
Yeah.
I guess he just wants playoff basketball back.
I mean, I want him back, but he's not going to be the same player. That's what I'm thinking.
And even if he is, he's going to cause a lot of problems now because
Yeah,
now we don't need him to be who he was.
exactly. Now that we have Trey Burke.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad the way his career had to end like this, but I
Yeah.
think it's time to hang it up if I'm him or if I'm coming back to be like a mentor and not a guy that steals people's minutes.
I think he's kind of open to doing that as well. Like, I think that's also it. Like he just wants to come back and just spend time with the team, like kind of what Dirk is doing. Dirk doesn't
Well, yeah,
really,
but if that's the case, then he should just be a coach. Like, because I'm sure the Mavericks would hire him as a player development coach or something.
for sure. Yeah, I guess that works. It's more fun to be an actual teammate. I'd figured though.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's cool to have your uniform, but if you're not playing, it's all just a technicality.
Yeah, true.
And it's not like the players don't consider you one of their bros already. I mean, you've been around for so long.
I mean, I just want to add though that I do think that JJ Barea is a great person, and
Oh,
it
yes.
really sucks for him. And he basically is one of the best players. So that really sucks. And I'm really happy that Trey Burke kind of replaces him, sort of, because we
Yeah,
really need.
and I think JJ is going to be an excellent teacher. I just don't know how it's going to work out in terms of roster technicalities and all that.
What do you think the starting lineup will look like?
Uh, are we saying with KP or without?
I'd say first without, and then what it will look like with Celtics.
Without Luca, Tim Hardaway Jr. Maybe they start Courtney Lee at two guard and put Tim Hardaway to three, but I don't know. I wouldn't prefer it. Barnes at the three, Dodo at the four, Maxey at the five. Lee on the bench with Burke and with am I stumbling over names right now? Jalen Brunson. God, I don't know why that's so difficult. But Dwight Powell as well, of course. Dirk Nowitzki getting his standard 5 to 10 minutes a game for the heck of it at this point, most of the time. But that's cool. With KP, same thing, except swap out. Obviously, you're gonna put in KP at either the 4 or the 5. I'm saying the 4 for the sake of health concerns. Keep Maxey at the 5. Swap out Barnes for Dorian at the 3 because now you have Porzingis in the game, and then at the bench you have Barnes until you trade him because you all know what's going to happen. Like it has to happen. Barnes on the bench with Lee, and Burke and Brunson and Powell and Dirk.
I think the lineup you said, like without Barnes, I would like that, but I don't think it's realistic. Like I think as long as Barnes is on the team, he's gonna start. Like I don't want that, but it's gonna happen.
I mean, maybe, but I'm picking my starting lineup. I'm not picking what I think will happen. I'm picking what I want.
That's fair. Yeah, I basically agree with your lineup. If it's my pick, but I think Rick might actually start Trey Burke,
If he
and
starts Trey Burke, it's not going to be good for us. It's just not. Because Trey Burke is not the type of guy you want to start whenever you have Luka Doncic on your team. Sure, he could theoretically be like Sergio Yui next to the Luka, but that's too much theoreticality, and I don't think he has the passing in his game the way Sergio Yui has for comparative to level.
honestly, I'm kind of picturing him as like having the Dennis Smith Jr. role, but doing it better. Like
He doesn't
he
play
just
like Dennis. He doesn't
what do you
really
say?
play like Trey doesn't play like Dennis. He plays like a shooter. Like he's taking threes and stuff. Like he's not driving to dunk on you.
No, not in that way, but more like he does drive for pull-ups, I guess, right? And for layups, and
Yeah,
then he
that's
just gets.
Sergio Yui does the same stuff. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the Sergio Yui, Real Madrid. He's like that's what he would be if he was starting next to Luka. He would have to play that sort of role.
Yeah, kind of like Goran Dragic as well.
Yeah, but Goran, I would say it's a little. The situation there is a little different. We're talking about MVP Luka, like he was established as the better player, whereas Goran was still the better player than Luka at that time.
Though I do think Luka handled the ball a lot in the Slovenian team.
Yes, he did. It was very much like a two-man game, but Goran was the head. He won the MVP.
Yeah,
But
I think Burke would be better off the bench, but if Rick starts him, it's not going to be that bad. I don't think.
I think it can be problematic because the inconsistency is gonna be head scratching sometimes because it's still definitely a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And whenever you want starters on your team, do you want a 26-year-old chucker who's super inconsistent and is undersized? Probably not.
No. And now that you're mentioning it, I think you might actually see him like as a JJ Barea, and he barely starts JJ. So yeah,
Yeah, the only reason he started JJ on that finals run was because they just needed to do something different because the Heat knew what they'd been doing. And by the way, I know this is a random tangent, but shout out to Deshaun Stevenson. He literally shot like 81% true shooting in that series, which is
wow,
just insane.
yeah.
Like that was like the best series of his life, and we're including the one where he went against LeBron and like hit a three in LeBron's face and was making fun of LeBron with Soldier Boy.
I'm really sad I missed the championship run. Honestly, for those who don't know, I became a fan during 2012. Yeah, because that's when League Pass for the first time started. So that's the only way I could watch in the Netherlands here. And it started with the OJ Mayo season. So I've basically only seen the bad years, and I wasn't around during the championship year. So that really sucks for me, honestly.
Yeah, you can still find a lot of those. Like, there's this YouTuber who has like a bunch of those games from 2011 full games uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch them in full and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I was actually planning on doing that, but it's not really the same. I really wanted to like be around that underdog vibe and just like beating great teams after great team.
Especially, would you have wanted to be around for like the entire regular season too, with like the Caron Butler injury, and then they all like come back?
Yeah, I mean that's not fun, the injury, but like
But
the
like
it's
the whole like comeback story from that injury.
yeah, I definitely would have wanted to see that. Yeah.
The entire way that season went is just incredible. And you know
Yeah.
what's even more interesting? You know what the difference is in wins between that year and the previous year?
No, I don't.
Two. They won two more games, and instead of losing in the first round, they went to the finals and they won after beating the two-time defending champions and KD and Russ whenever Russ was still dropping like 22 a game, and
And
KD was like a year or two away from being an MVP, and he was still dropping 26 a night.
Yeah.
And they had Serge Ibaka back whenever he couldn't shoot threes, but he was getting 4 blocks a game. Serge Ibaka putting his hand in Dirk's grill so well, and Dirk dropping 48 in his face.
Yeah.
With Jeff Van Gundy saying that Serge Ibaka should name his son Dirk.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah, like it's just everything was crazy. Then the Mother's Day massacre too, like all of it. Dirk scoring 40 points and somehow saving the Mavericks from losing in Game 4 on the road, hitting all these crazy shots that still are not in a Joseph Vincent highlight tape. I'm really salty about this, but should I go on? I think I've said enough. But like, you get the idea. Like that entire season was just crazy.
I mean, I still think it's really funny that like Jason Terry just put a championship tattoo on his like leg, I guess.
Nope, it was on his bicep.
It's bicep. Yeah. Wow. And before they even became champions, and it actually happened. So
Yeah,
that's
they did it at the start. He did it at the start of the year. Like he was like, "We're winning the championship, y'all." I don't. And then like everyone thought he was crazy, and then he did it.
yeah, that's insane. But I don't know if we said it already, but I was really worried that because the JJ injury happened, that Dwight Powell would be playing a lot worse. But
I'm
actually,
not sure if you did, but yeah, let's go back to that.
yeah, Luka has actually been having a great chemistry with Dwight. I didn't expect that. I thought basically all Dwight did was just receive passes from JJ.
Yeah, JJ and also a little bit of Devin for a little while last year too, and Yogi a little bit.
But actually, Luka has been replacing that really well, and Dwight hasn't been looking worse or at all, in my opinion. So that really surprised me, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's nice to see that he's useful once again, because for like 20 games this year, he was almost useless.
I mean, he shoots too many threes, and he
That's
starts
not
to.
his fault. That's not his fault. That's Rick.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, Rick is stuff to figure out.
Well, I think the problem is that they want him to get better, but what you don't understand is him taking a bunch of threes whenever he doesn't have confidence in himself and nobody has confidence in him doesn't do anything for you. What you
Yeah.
need to do is you need him to spend a summer in the gym like Kawhi Leonard, just shooting thousands of threes every single friggin' day because the form isn't even that bad. It's not practiced the way like I'm not saying he doesn't shoot threes in practice. I'm sure he does, but like if you know the story of Kawhi Leonard, he spent an entire summer just chucking threes with the shooting coach with all sorts of like endurance exercises to make sure he was shooting threes when he was tired and all this. Like this, you can find some really interesting stories about that, and I think Dwight Powell's gonna need something like that for him to ever become an actual like somewhat legitimate like league average shooter.
I mean, I'm kind of annoyed that Dwight has to like jump really high whenever he shoots, and he has to like jump forward very much. Like, why can't he just like jump like an inch and just shoot it like really casually?
Well, I think the thing is that I understand it because it is the traditional jump shot for him, but he's not a guard. And I think that it's partially just because of he's like so springy that some of it's not even really like he's aware of how high he's jumping because
think-
of how high he can jump.
I think he should practice like standing still shots a lot, like his free throws. Like he just doesn't jump, so that when he actually wants to shoot, he just barely jumps and it still goes in. I think that's something he needs to work on.
What I think he needs to do is he needs to get a consultation with like someone like a big man that takes, even though Maxi Kleba is not like a great shooter or anything, just like let Maxi Kleba teach Dwight to shoot and maybe he'll shoot 30% from three and then it won't be so ugly.
Yeah, exactly. Because Maxi doesn't really jump high. He shoots it really like nonchalantly a bit. And if he teaches that to Dwight, that will really help.
Yeah, the only thing with that is that you're gonna have a lot of jumpers that are short, but I'll take that over a guy that just is it gonna touch the rim today? Like that's what you ask yourself with Dwight Powell right now.
So I wanted to talk a bit about All-Star Weekend. Like Luka in the Rising Stars game, Dennis Smith Jr. sort of being a Mav, and the dunk contest, Dirk being an All-Star, being in the three-point contest, Luka being in the skills challenge.
Yeah, well, when it comes to Dennis, I guess I want him to win it because he was kind of robbed last year. So for nothing else other than revenge, I guess I want him to win it. But at the same time, I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to go to the hometown boy in Miles Bridges.
I mean, Dennis Smith is sort of a hometown boy as well. He's from South Carolina.
He's from North Carolina.
Yeah,
But
North Carolina.
yeah. But like, it's like when we phrase it, hometown boy versus home team boy.
I mean, that's a tough choice. I mean, like they both have something hometown, so
And I just think I'm really impressed by Miles Bridges as like a dunker and as a player also. So I would really take either Dennis or him in that contest to win.
yeah, for sure we do. Yeah.
Like, have you seen? Remember those putback dunks where he had like two in a row in the preseason? You both just like were like, oh my god, look at this.
Yeah, I think I've seen them. Yeah, he's a really powerful dunker as well.
Yeah, I would love to see a one-on-one duo with them dunking like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But first, we got to see if DJ Khaled's willing to give him a good score.
Yeah. So you think Dirk would finish his 3-point contest rack?
I think they should change the rules of the contest to where you have a rebounder who grabs your rebounds and then just immediately passes it out to you because it's more natural to do a catch and shoot than a rack. And
Yeah.
that way Dirk doesn't break his wrists or something like trying to pick up a ball from the rack 50 times.
But it's also like that's the point of the game. Like it's kind of different than shooting normally. So yeah.
I don't know if that really was the intention though, if they just wanted to make it look like flashy with like the racks and have like the money balls and whatever.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine. He shoots it pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the real problem is going to be how well is he going to be able to move from rack to rack?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is he just going to get in like a motor powered wheelchair?
I mean, he said it himself on the Zach Lowe podcast. He said he's basically gonna sprint from rack to rack.
And hopefully not fall over,
I hope
because
so.
that's a
Yeah.
real concern actually.
He falls a lot. It's so weird.
I mean, can you blame him? He's like a 40-year-old man.
And he's 7 foot. He's always been kind of clumsy.
He's a
Yeah.
40-year-old 7-foot man who's coming off of ankle surgery.
Yeah.
I would almost be surprised if it didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So I love you, Dirk.
Yeah. Same. Of course. You think Luka wins the skills challenge?
I think he should, but I don't know. I mean, does he take it seriously? I don't know.
That's a fair point. And also, it's kind of luck based. Like sometimes it just goes well, and sometimes it doesn't.
Clearly, the only thing that can go wrong for Luka is if he misses the shot. Like, otherwise, everything else is going to be perfect.
I mean,
I
that
doubt
pass
it.
always looks really difficult. Like
Do you know Luka Doncic? Do you know his passing ability? I have zero concerns.
I mean, he's also a great shooter. So yeah.
His passing is on a different level than his shooting. His
For sure.
shooting is like baby Harden, whereas his passing is like already elite when it comes to actually passing. He just doesn't get to do it enough, and he's done it a lot more as of late. So
But also, he doesn't really shoot that many chest passes, right?
I'm sure he can do it. He knows the fundamentals. Like, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Like, there are bigger concerns. Like, number one, is Luka gonna drive inside and then intentionally step back just for the flash and for the brand alone?
He might actually, yeah.
Like, imagine Luka hitting a step back three in all of his rounds.
Wow. Yeah.
Or better yet, a step back three on the final round to beat like Nikola Jokic. Who if he's gonna lose to somebody, I would not be surprised if he loses to Nikola Jokic because Luka gets too confident and ends up being like a tortoise versus the hare situation.
I guess that's actually a possibility, yeah.
Not that it matters. This is all just fun games anyway. Dirk as the quote unquote coach of the world team. That's cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I guess he said that he probably doesn't have to coach that much himself.
No. It's an honorable thing. It's just an honorable like position. It's just like a thing where you get to go talk to a bunch of young dudes, basically. Maybe do a little recruiting, Like, I would love to see Bogdanovich come to the Dallas Mavericks. How about you? I mean,
I wonder in like 2 years if the Mavs even have like an American player. Like maybe they just have 15 international guys.
no, they'll still have like Hardaway and whatever.
That's true. I guess they could trade him, ban all American players.
But why? Like, you sometimes you just need a little diversity in the locker room.
Of course, even though I'm European, I love the NBA because it's so American. I love American players. I love that it's different from soccer and stuff.
Yeah. And
It's
another thing I was going to ask you when we were talking about Porzingis, did you get a chance to watch him when he was playing for Sevilla?
For what?
Whenever Porzingis was playing in Europe, did you get a chance to watch him when he was playing at his club team?
Watch European basketball that much, except the FIBA, the Euro Cup and stuff.
The Eurobasket?
I watched every Latvia game from the Euro Cup last year. Yeah, but not really his Spanish team.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that Luka and Porzingis played head-to-head and now they're on the same team?
Yeah, it was actually really funny because I was really rooting for Kristaps Porzingis because I barely knew Luka. And then he just shot shots in Kristaps' face. And I was like, who is this guy? Why is he shooting? That was like the time that I was annoyed that Luka was playing well. And it was the last time that I ever felt like that.
Yeah, that's just insane. And what'd be even crazier is if like somehow they get like Luka played Lauri Markkanen, but I don't even know how that would work having Lauri Markkanen and Kristaps. I just don't think that would work. But it would be a little weird if it did happen, or if the Mavs go for like Bogdanovich. He played Bogdan in that tournament too. Oh yeah, Dirk being in the All-Star game. I think that's pretty awesome.
I think so too. I don't think he's going to play that much, but it's going to be cool.
He's going to take 2 shots. Hopefully he makes the fadeaway and not the three-pointer, because the three-pointer would be kind of boring.
I think he's going to be picked last.
Well, he's going to be picked either last or second to last, because they made an honorary 3rd round for him and Wade.
Oh, okay.
And, but like Wade's saying LeBron better pick me. So if LeBron picks first, then yeah, Dirk technically gets picked last. But, whatever.
So do you think Luka will be MVP of the Rising Stars game?
Him or Simmons or like, is it Mitchell's in there? So Mitchell, Tatum, one of them. Maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes over. Maybe Bogdan comes out of nowhere like he did last year and just takes over.
Or De'Aaron Fox, maybe?
De'Aaron Fox, maybe. But for some reason, I feel like he's not going to get enough of what to get to do enough because Tatum's going to want it too much.
I just have one more topic. Maybe you have something left after that, but it's whether the Mavs could still make the playoffs. So what are you thinking?
It depends on KP is coming back or not, really. If KP is coming back in the next month, then I'd say there's like a 30% chance they make the playoffs. If KP doesn't come back at all or not until like the last 10 games, I would put the odds no higher than 15% at best.
I mean, honestly, personally, I was kind of feeling that DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews really held the team back and that they lacked like wing depth. So now they've got more wings and those players are gone. Maxey gets more playing time. He will really start at center and stuff. I think, honestly, the Mavs are way better than before.
No, yeah, but the problem is that they're in a hole.
Yeah.
So they can play better than they did before, but I don't think they can lift themselves out of a hole that they put themselves in by being so questionable with their decisions that now I don't think they can recover from it. I think they could perhaps produce a close to 500 record, like 39 and 43 or something. Whereas it seemed like it was going to be closer to like 37 or 36 because Harrison and West made so many problems and DeAndre was ruining things. But I guess it depends. Like if Luka somehow takes another step again, like another one, because he's gone from like 18 and 4 to now like 20 and 6 in a month. If he goes to like 22 and 8, then like I don't know. Then you can start really talking about it. Yeah.
I think their schedule is a lot easier now. They're playing a lot of East teams, and I think they could go on a run. And maybe they'll be around .500 soon, and then we'll just go from there, I guess.
Well, currently they're in like a 6 game hole of 500, so either 5 or 6. So it's gonna be tough. They would have to win like 5 in a row just to get to 500 before like the All-Star break.
Going like 7 out of 10 or something is around the same result, right?
Yeah, like I want it to happen and all. It's tough because the Mavericks without Kristaps are gonna be relying on Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trey Burke to generate like most of their offense. And then you need to hope Maxi Kleber actually finally has earned Rick's trust and that Dorian Finney-Smith plays more. I want to mention this. Let's take a look at Tankathon really quick. And I think it's worth what?
That was what I was going to say. The thing is, I am really against tanking this year because I just don't want to lose the risk of losing the top 5 pick. And also, you have to tank so hard to get that. Like, you could fall out of the top 5 so easily. I just feel like I'd rather the Mavs have a 9 seed.
They're not going to get the 9 seed if they don't make the playoffs. They're going to get like the 11 seed. Like they're either going to get in or they're going to be behind because they're in too much of a hole.
But you can't really know that. Honestly,
Like,
I'm
no-
more like looking at it like, let's just see how much they can win. Let's just not focus on hoping they'll lose. That's just something I'll mostly focus on during the summer, you know?
Oh,
Like,
I'm not rooting for them to lose. I just think it's worth mentioning that if I'm putting the odds of the Mavs to make the playoffs at about 15%, and the odds of the Mavs keeping their pick right now is 9.4 or so,
all right.
it's worth considering. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Because if the Mavericks got to, say, the 7th slot, you're talking about a clean like 25% chance of keeping your pick. And that's really important to consider. Or if you get to the number 6 slot, you're talking about like 37.2% chance to keep your pick. Or if you get to the 5th slot, you get the extra little chance of getting the 5th pick along with the top 4. So now you have like 43 plus 2, so you only have like a 45% chance to keep your pick.
That's pretty good. But still, it would suck so much if we're in the top 5 and we lose that pick. Like, can you imagine?
Well, if we're in the top 5 and we lose the pick, what's most likely to happen is it falls to 7 if we're 5th. And if we're 4th, we're most likely to fall to 6. And if you're 3rd, you're also very likely to fall to 6. If you're 2nd, you're most likely to fall to 4th. And if you're number 1, if you're most likely to fall to 5th. And number 1, you are guaranteed top 5, which I don't think the Mavericks can be the worst team in the league. So, you know.
That's also like there's a bunch of teams that are so bad the Mavs aren't going to be competing with them for tanking. So
What's interesting is that Orlando is ahead of them, and Orlando could easily make the playoffs. Washington might be going on a playoff push. Detroit's definitely on a playoff push. So those 3 teams are all up in the air. And then you move Dallas up 3 whole slots in the lottery, and now you can really start asking yourself questions.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm just really always annoyed that there's so many Mavs fans that are just like focusing on tanking. Like, how is that fun to watch, you know?
Well, it's not fun. It's just a question of strategy. Do you want to try to get yourself like a Jarrett Culver in this draft, or you want to try to get like a DeAndre Hunter and a Brandon Clark in this draft, or a Grant Williams and DeAndre Hunter, like these sorts of defensive guys that you can plug in right away and still contribute on the offensive end of the floor very nicely, have some strength and size, and quite versatile. Like there's a lot of those sorts of guys in this draft, but there's just not, outside of Zion, the high end guys are all not very high end in any other draft that's good. This is a very average draft outside of the first pick.
Yeah, but I mean, more like you don't have like control over it. You're just watching a team that wants to win. So why would you root for them to lose?
I'm not rooting for them to lose. I'm just saying it's worth thinking about the consequences of winning.
No, for sure you aren't. But like there are a lot of fans who are really like they really get mad at the Mavs when they win. You know, that's really messed up in my opinion.
I think they'll stop getting mad if Kristaps comes back.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's why I really hope he comes back, because that just sends a message that the Mavs are going to try to win, you know.
And it is worth mentioning the reports that are all counting up about Kristaps coming in, because literally Jeff Skin Wade said on the radio, you have that New York Daily News piece that said that he was essentially cleared to play. Now, what we do know for almost certainly is that Kristaps has not had his physical yet.
Yeah.
So, most likely, Rick is being precautious, and Mark Cuban is definitely being precautious.
I think so.
And while they have a good knowledge about it, they don't want to disappoint the fans and then end up having a riot outside of the AAC. Because that, could you imagine saying Kristaps Porzingis is going to play this year? And then sorry, people, we meant the fall of this year, not the spring.
No, you're right. I think that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
I think there's a good chance he comes back. As to whether or not it's as soon as people are thinking it is, that's too up in the air.
Yeah, I guess maybe after the All-Star break.
That would be ideal if he can't come back right away on Wednesday. I guess the biggest thing to say with all that is trust Casey Smith.
Oh, for sure. He's a great doctor.
And the Mavericks have one of the best doctor training staffs in the league. They've been able to keep JJ on the court, Dirk on the court, Devin Harris on the court, all these old players, Darren Williams on the court. If they've been able to keep all these old guys on the court, they know they're going to be able to do with the young guy who was a year off tearing his ACL and almost a year off of the surgery. So, usually the recovery is a little less than a year, but he's 7'3", so let's say it takes exactly a year. Optimistically, then you're talking about him coming back literally right after the All-Star break.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's Too Much Monte podcast episode 2. The Too Much Timmy podcast, if you will. So, Max, you want to say where everybody can find you?
Yes. The handle has changed. So, no longer is it at RangersKing669, the username of my childhood. It is now at Max Scouts. You can also find me with the generic Mavs unicorn logo that everyone has now. And also work on lockdraft.com coming soon. It's mostly just the website problems. And also some work coming eventually in the Dallas Prospect, just getting held back to various obstacles. So that should be coming soon. And I believe that's everything for now.
Third round picks, right?
Yes, the third round picks. Yes, that's the name of our podcast. We actually are recording an episode in a couple hours after this, so that's going to be interesting. We'll be talking about DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome of Virginia, as well as all the prospects on Michigan, including Iggy Brasdeikis and Jordan Poole.
All right, cool. So check Max out. He has some cool stuff. So that's it, right?
Well, you got to talk about you. You can find your channel on...
It's already on my channel, and I don't really have a... That's kind of confusing, actually. I don't really have a Twitter account for this YouTube channel, but I do, if you're interested in basketball stuff, I have the @MavericksMonte Twitter account. It started out as sort of like a parody account as for Monte Ellis. I didn't even really have my name on it. I just was my Mavericks Monte, and I just kind of talked really honestly about the Mavs. But now people started knowing me a bit, so I was like, all right, let's just put my name Dennis on there. But it's still basically that. I'm just unfiltered talking about the Mavs, and I don't tweet too much. So if you want to follow me, I'm not gonna spam or anything. It's just...
You don't tweet much, but you tweet in spurts. You'll go tweeting for a day and then not come back for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. I always want to tweet something, but then I have so many arguments that I put 6 tweets in a row. But that's always just once every week I'll just do that. It's not every day I start spamming. And also it's because I can't really always watch live because of time zones here in Europe. So mostly I just tweet when I'm watching live, which is when most people are probably checking the Twitter anyway, so it's not annoying.
Yeah, it's not annoying. It's just it's just the noting of your tendencies.
Yeah.
And another thing worth mentioning, I am going to be at a Dallas Mavericks game very soon. So if any of you people out there are going to the Mavs versus Blazers on February 10th, I would love to say hello and whatever and just get to know some of y'all, because I don't get to talk to as many Mavs fans in person as I want to at all. I feel kind of lonely out here. And, it's kind of hard in these streets whenever pretty much everyone at your school is not a Mavs fan. They're all Celtics fans, Knicks fans, Warriors fans. You have no idea how many Steph Curry's jerseys like, and then there's a whole bunch of people that just wear Kyrie Irving shoes, even though they're not basketball players, because I guess they like Kyrie's. So, but like, no Mavs fans. There's like maybe I've seen like 3 people with Doncic jerseys.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, I barely see any basketball fans in general here. And when I see them, it's always they're talking about the Warriors. Or recently, I met a guy who was constantly talking about the Rockets, which was even more annoying.
Or
And
your brother who likes the Thunder.
yeah, but I can appreciate that because the Thunder are a fun team. Their culture is fun.
They stole the
Yeah.
Sonics.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm still super angry about that. But
I get
you
that.
know, and another thing with that too, it's weird because I literally live like in Dallas. Still nobody.
Yeah, weird. But I guess that's because the Cowboys are so popular.
No, it's not because of that. It's because 99% of high schoolers are bandwagon fans. They just
Okay,
want
yeah.
to wear. They just want to be cool. Wear
Yeah.
Steph Curry jerseys. I'm not with that crowd. And also, we actually have a whole lot of transplants from like outside of Texas at the school. So that's partially the reason why there's a whole bunch of like Celtics fans and
Yeah.
like Rockets fans.
Sorry, by the way, that we're going from conversation to conversation. Like, we're really hectic with that. But
Yeah.
I personally have fun with that because we're just saying whatever we're thinking. But sometimes,
Well, this is the outro, so it can kind of be all over the place a little bit.
no, for sure.
All right, I think that's everything. So, MFFL and Chris Stats, please come back soon. I'm just happy we have Porzingis, and let's just move forward with that. Also, DeAndre is finally gone. Took
Yeah.
us long enough. Let's get Harrison Barnes out of here and fully wash our hands of this mess.
I think it's really, really, really funny how DeAndre Jordan screwed us over in 2015.
And then
And
we
then-
screwed him over to get Porzingis. Yep,
Yeah,
all worth
exactly.
it.
It's just perfect. Like,
He can go back to rotting in hell now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was kind of kind of worried that we signed him back so easily. Like, why would you forgive him so easily? But then I was like, okay, sure.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious they were using him as trade bait the entire time now.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then imagine if he actually does get bought out and he ends up on the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean, that would kind of suck, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be crazy because they would still lose. And
Yeah.
all the Lakers fans would like really hate DeAndre because they're taking minutes from Ivica Zubac.
I mean, for some reason, I think he'll play better in Los Angeles. More spacing and stuff, I think.
Well, yeah, but is he gonna try on defense now? Maybe because he has LeBron James, and LeBron James might get on his ass.
Yeah, exactly. And they have like a legit shot at the playoffs.
They have a legit shot at losing in the second round.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not making it to the conference finals, y'all. Sorry if you thought
I
that
mean,
was.
maybe if DeAndre Jordan comes there and he
No,
tries.
no, still no. No.
Okay.
No way. Look at the teams. You're talking about Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams, and
Yeah.
that's like the 4 seed, right? No way. The
Yeah.
Nuggets have Nikola Jokic, who is literally the most under the radar MVP candidate in a long time, like since Steve Nash, and he's leading his team to like a top 3 record in the West with him and a bunch of shooters. He's basically like the new quote unquote, not as a player, but just like where you can surround him with a bunch of shooters, the new LeBron. If you surround him with a bunch of shooters that can kind of create their own shot, it's going to work. And look, lo and behold, it's working. And now he's turned up his scoring. He's scored like 30 points in like a bunch of back-to-back games. So, shout out to Nikola Jokic.
Oh, for
And
sure. Yeah.
he needs to go off in the All-Star game for my health.
Yeah. We're going on way too long because we basically already ended it. But
Well, I mean, we're kind of just like that. Like I'm young and not responsible, and you're new.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it's just natural. Like, it's just a conversation, and sometimes it goes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one love y'all. Hashtag MFFL. Chris Stats, we love you. Please don't leave us. We need you for the future. Luca and Unicorn, 2022 NBA champions on the Dallas Mavericks. Let's go.
I got too much Monte.
Monte Ellis, ask the fellas. Food talk trash because they jealous. Laid back from the south, trying to hack up, I'll make you shut your mouth.
Even though there are lots of Mavs fans, there are like maybe 2 Mavs fans in my entire 5,000 person high school. And there might be like 10 more now that the Mavs traded for Porzingis, but other than that,
All right. Yeah. I mean, I barely know any any Mavs fans here. So yeah,
I
but
know
like
there are some other Dutch Mavs fans though. You've interacted with a couple of them already on Twitter.
like 2 or 3. I just found them like a couple of weeks ago, but that was like the first time I ever saw them.
Like, we're just gonna talk about percentages here for just a second. I'm sorry. I just have to say this.
That's okay.
57% from three in the 2011 finals for Deshaun Stevenson.
Wow.
Like, do you like that's just crazy. It's just insane. Like, I wasn't kidding. 81.5% true shooting. I don't even understand how this is like possible. The guy was like a league average shooter at best for like his entire career.
I mean, yeah, that kind of happens when you're hot, I guess.
But like that's not just hot. That's an entire series just like flames. He's on fire.
Yeah, okay.
Out of this dude that was a major bust compared to Michael Jordan and started a beef with LeBron.